It's another one of these videos that applies as much to lots of lines of interest or work as it does for game development, but that has to do with thinking too much instead of doing something when we're trying to learn a new skill, get ourselves into something, pick up a hobby, whatever it might be. Now, the problem comes from a similar broken mental model to what I talked about the other day in terms of more emotional intensity doesn't actually translate to more likelihood of taking action. That past a point, it's unproductive. The same thing is absolutely true for the amount we think about what we're trying to do. That, obviously if we're not thinking about it at all, we're not going to do it. You got to think about it. And it's worth thinking about what you're going to do. But if we think more and more and more about it, what begins to happen is that we start to kind of lean on that extra thought as though it's a substitute for the action that we're not taking. That it decreases our likelihood. And in fact, again, it causes the same kind of vicious spiral where, okay, well, we still haven't taken action yet. So our incorrect but natural assumption is that I need to think even more about it, which further piles into this feeling that I'm making progress on it. And what tends to happen, at least in game development and a lot of related fields to it, whether it's digital art, programming, level design, writing, you name it, when you actually start doing the task, what you find is very quickly a whole bunch of the tower you had built up by thinking just falls apart like a house of cards, because so many things about the very foundational thoughts about it don't line up with how the medium works, how the format works, what your skill limitations are, what your resource limitations are, how the factors fit together to actually make a thing that works. And you're kind of having to start back from scratch, to even begin of which starts from, again, scaling back from actually thinking less about it. And I am certainly not someone who's opposed to the idea of there being plenty of thought in the world. I like things being thought about. But there's a pretty low limit to what we can figure out without having to at least try something, experiment a little bit, see how it looks, try it in the form that it's going to be in. And to the extent that there's good work worth doing, and I want thoughtful people to be doing the good work, it's as much problematic for people who are overthinking it and so aren't doing anything with those thoughts, as it is the maybe many people who are underthinking it and doing something with their thoughts, because at least they're doing something. And that between the two, I'd rather have some people come down from the realm of they've been thinking so much about it, but that what's been blocking their action is actually all that thinking and the feeling a sense of progress from it. When realizing that they're going to have to think less about it, trade off some of that thinking in exchange for doing something about it at a real time, in a way that leaves some sort of evidence, in a way that's cumulative, that just doesn't happen or emerge naturally from any amount of what happens in our heads. We start to get lost up here. And it doesn't build up, it doesn't grow, it doesn't develop, it can't iterate on it. I mean, even if it's as simple as sketching a picture, when you put it in front of yourself, having offloaded all that from inside you, you can now iterate on it with some, like, at least a little bit of objectivity, with a distance, with focusing on details. And the same thing absolutely applies to coding a project, to doing writing for a game. I think writers have this problem maybe less so than programmers. But it's something that if you're interested in making games, you got to start doing it. I know people say this all the time. That's why I have my video courses like codeyourfirstgame.com. So it's not just someone poking you saying do it. It's saying go join the 100,000 people. By the way, recently it's 100,000 people, so pretty excited about that. Go join those 100,000 people. Take that course, and you're going to make that switch from overthinking it to really doing something about it, to building things. Same sort of thing we focus on in the club. In Game Keto Club, our developers build the things they're trying to do. That if they have a design idea, they're implementing it, which puts them close to figuring out what's the practical level of thinking about this, and what's the level at which is going to get some practical action, and where's the intersection. That it's not just something you can just kind of talk all day about games and then have a game to show for it. It's not how it works. So anyway, that's the gist for today. Thanks always for following along. Have another video for tomorrow. Bye for now.